My name's Tom Reinhardt. I was wondering what you thought of Dodd's banking bill.
Well, I think it's
regulation.
What Chris Dodd doesn't understand is that it's the government regulation that created the problem in the first place. We don't need more regulation. Government has to understand how its regulations impact the market. I mean, in particular, an easy one to understand is guaranteed bank accounts. Right? The government guarantees everybody's bank account. Right? And everybody thinks that's great. That's a disaster. Right? How many people in this room have bank accounts? And how many people have looked into the balance sheet of the bank to make sure that the loan portfolio is solid? Does anybody care what the bank does with your deposit once you give it to them? He couldn't care less, right? Because the government guarantees it. That is the problem. It's called moral hazard, right? So nobody cares. All you care about is how much interest do I make. The banks know this, so the banks just have to pay interest. So they take all kinds of crazy risks because there's no penalty for that. But if the government didn't guarantee bank accounts, people would compare. They would shop around. They would try to find the safest bank, just like you try to find the best plasma TV or the best car. You would do your homework and you would find a bank, and they would have private insurance company that would offer insurance, and so it would be a much sounder banking system. So the root cause of the problems are government-created moral hazards, like Freddie and Fannie. If Freddie and Fannie weren't able to, if those mortgages weren't guaranteed by the government, they never could have grown that large. Freddie and Fannie were the most leveraged institutions in the world because of the government. The free market wouldn't have allowed that, but the government took away all the free market safeguards the minute they put a government guarantee. So what we have to do is get government out of this industry. I work in the financial service industry. It is the most regulated industry probably in the country. And the amount of regulation that has increased since 2000, it's so horrific, it's so horrendous, that I never could have started my company, 20 years ago, because I couldn't have afforded the compliance. I mean, I have 5 or 6 guys now that do nothing but comply with government regulations. I couldn't have afforded them. So we are burning the economy with these regulations, and despite all these regulations, look, Bernie Madoff stole $50 billion right under the SEC and FINRA's nose. I mean, the regulation didn't stop that. It's not going to work. What will work is free market forces and individuals looking out for their own money, market forces. The government is never going to help. And Chris Dodd does not understand that. That's why he was on television proclaiming how sound Fannie and Freddie were when I was on TV on the same day saying they were going bankrupt. Because I understood the problems. He's clueless.